Right. Yeah, great channel. Yeah, thanks. I intend to keep speaking, of course. I had no intention of ever quitting. I'm going to keep speaking until I die, I suppose. So what's going on in the world? You can always track the news, and then I can always give you my opinions about it. But maybe on a deeper level, uh, it's all about what are you doing here on Earth? What are we all doing here on Earth? And I think a lot of people uh, live such automated lives that live on autopilot. They literally just can't do anything for themselves. They are told what to do by their bosses. They are told what to do by the law and by the media and so on. They just try to fit in. And if you're trying to fit in, then you're not shaping your own reality. You won't really live. You will have a lived life lived by others. So that's the sad issue of this whole. Uh, Nations of drones, but yeah, but the human beings have been drones for a very long time indeed. That worker drones, the urban worker drones, they don't really they don't think. And I wonder where this happened. For white people, it must have been the industrial age. We simply weeded out creative individuals. Very few of us are left, and the rest of them are just very good at following rules and orders and operating machines. But none of them even, I don't think they even dream. I think all their dreams are the same. They all dream about the same things. My dreams are wild, but I think a lot of people's dreams are just, you could just Google their dreams because everybody has them. It's the same dream. I don't know about Denmark, small country, so cheap houses. Yeah, worker drones working for the luxury product that we don't need, but we are told we need to have. Right? That's just bad. I mean, I've been working a lot on my website, jmk.info, lately. I put all my videos there. I put my collabs there, my interviews. I'm going to, for now, post my interviews only to my own website, my Substack at jmk.info. So you want to review, replay like yesterday's collab with Roisin O'Flaherty. She was really interesting to listen to. Or Europa Nationalist, the young lady. Muslims aren't taking over Europe. They live in their own enclaves. We white Christian people, white people, we can just do whatever we want, and that's the issue all the time. The moment we just stop caring for other people, like as though they're our children, then we need to take care of them. No, we don't. We're not related. Then it's just over. 5 years from now, I'll be doing lots of public speeches. I might actually have a good income out of my out of my activities. I'll be a public intellectual. Yeah, I'll be on the speaker circuits everywhere. The public intellectual of the far right. They're going to say I'm going to try to normalize all sorts of things, and I will be doing lots of a lot more worse. I'll be doing worse. I want to break the spell. Our normie people, they've become almost machine-like. They're just not human. You can't relate to them. There's few people you meet you can relate to. Those are often the active speakers are here and there, right? Oh, you're from Southern Illinois, yeah. Those are the sort of states when I hear Illinois, I think that must be a nice place, or like Montana or something, or Arkansas, Arizona. All right, not so much Los Angeles and Miami. Is Miami even a state? No, Florida is the state. Miami is the city. Yeah, we just don't agree with the insanity of the left. That's how it is. Right? You're from Arizona. My favorite books are The Forest Passage by Ernst Jünger, the German World War One veteran, and Storm of Steel, also by him. I don't care about ferrets, man. In my childhood, we would be trying to catch tadpoles in the ditches and here and there in the waters around us. And my identity was just being a kid. I had no other identity until diversity came to our doors, and then all of a sudden it became clear. Oh, I guess I'm not like them. I'm white. I'm from a Christian background. They're Muslim, right? They're brown. I'm pale. It's only through diversity that you begin to recognize what you're not. I'm not all those other things. I went to a supermarket today in the Netherlands because I needed to drop off a shipment for delivery somewhere. And it was this ethnic supermarket because they were open late. Ethnic supermarket with only Indians and Muslim type people. It's amazing how every ethnic group has their own supermarkets, right? The Polish have their Sklep Polski. Over here, we have Turkish supermarkets. We have apparently these Indian, African supermarkets. It's just so strange that everybody has their own supermarkets, and the white people have their own, of course, too. Right. When will the West wake up to what's happening? We should be waking up right now, but technically speaking, the majority of the normie white people, they're going to stay asleep. We're going to take over and tell them what to do. Just don't even bother waking them up. If they'd wake up, I don't know, they'd probably want to kill themselves or something, right? Yeah, you can't disagree with the left, right? Their heads are full of rules and regulations. Whereas if you speak to a right-wing white woman who's a fairly intelligent one, then she will be able to draw from her spiritual dimension, really, right? She will be able to connect spiritually with you. Whereas the leftist academic career woman, her head is so full of laws and rules and systems, it's unpleasant to talk to them because you deviate from those rules, which she perceives as reality. Then you are just going to be met with anger, yeah, and frustration. It's just scary sometimes. All right. All right, Chicago, Illinois, exactly. So Chicago is a bad place, I think. I went to Chicago once. I went to visit that planetarium you have there, but you have to go through a neighborhood that's just African American. I thought it was so funny. Like the tourists at the planetarium, they're all white people, but the whole neighborhood around it is just black people. If you want to know if you're white, first of all, don't ask me, because if you need to ask me the question, well, then you're not white. Why would you even need? I don't need to ask a black person if I'm black. I'm half Germanic, half Celtic. Please, people from Somalia, tell me, am I also a Somalian? You know how stupid that is? Just buy a mirror, and I think you can tell for yourself, right? You already know the answer. So how can I decide if I can't even see you? Yeah, but I can't see you, so how do I know what you are? I don't know. Hold on. I like doing a lot more interviews. I'm going to keep doing a lot more interviews. I'm going to try to get very interesting, mostly women and sometimes some guys online. Though it probably, even with women, it's a hit and miss. Like sometimes I speak to a woman on the live stream and I have this massive mental connection. Like it's healing. You feel that you're healing, and other times it's more like just a regular conversation that doesn't really affect you very much. So that's also a very interesting topic, I think. What people around you give you a spiritual boost when you interact with them, like an emotional health benefit because you interacted with them for 20 minutes. Whereas other people, you interact with them and it's neutral, and then you have people you interact with them and you get like this massive downer, like you go, basically you are it affects you negatively. You get even depressed or even angry or hurt or something. And so that's what you need to figure out. You just need to hang out with all these people and then go back to the ones who are beneficial to you, right? You connect to those ones. Because I think there's people who would do the opposite. They would shy away from interacting with people that benefit them, that boost their health, and they actually seek out the ones that harm them over and over again. If you have some kind of a problem in your attachment style, right, psychologically, if you're somebody who keeps getting themselves hurt, keeps going back to the poisoned well, so to speak, that's a big problem. You got to figure out, okay, this well is poisoned. I'm going to stay away from that one. This well is okay. I can use it. And that well, wow, that one gives me a health boost. I should definitely keep going to the one that is good for me, right? All right, see you later. Yeah. You know, the thing with the Portuguese is they were the only European country who brought the Negro black slaves over to their country. And they mixed with them. So a lot of Portuguese people are mixed race. They're like 10%, 20% African or so. All right. Wait. All right. So you want to volunteer? Maybe not tonight, but we can plan for plan something maybe. Who do you want as president of America? I don't really care. I want new leaders for Europe. That's where my concern is. I live here. I'm European, and the American elites will do what they keep doing. So whoever is president doesn't really matter. What's more important is that we in Europe learn to become independent again. I think the Europeans as a whole, despite our incredible differences, need to become dominant on the world stage. And dominance to me means you are independent from what goes on around you. Even if you can't influence it, you choose your responses to it, right? So if somebody's really angry at you, do you submit to them, or do you just stand tall and say, hey, I'm just not going to do what you tell me to do, right? I think that's the attitude Europeans need. And that means maybe in Europe, we got to get rid of those, the women in power, right? Yeah, I show up on your For You page, so it means the algorithm thinks you're interested. So, all right, diversity is not our strength. We don't need diversity. It's like a kindergarten, right? I'm gonna fight for the Germanic world and the Celtic world, and increasingly, I just quit caring about anything outside of it because I won't be able to affect it that much. I don't speak any Slavic languages anyway. I can speak a little bit of French, but who's going to find that believable? I speak English, Dutch, and German, and that's basically the realm that I will operate in. And that's just how it is. So I'm by nature, I'm not a globalist. I'm not a universalist. And I couldn't really care less anymore about what happens in India or what happens in China. You know, we just need to choose our responses rather than worry about what others are doing. Really, the Khoisan and Mbuti. I bet the West Africans too, though. England has almost gone. Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday with Roisin, or I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she called the leadership traitors. I thought it was so. That's what I needed to hear. Our leaders are simply traitors. They're traitors, and we need to somehow oust them and depose them. This isn't healthy. This is very, very bad. So there was this website in the Netherlands that was making a mockery of my TikTok videos, and I didn't know what to do about it for a while. So I thought, is it like a defamation lawsuit or something? But I can't really afford to start lawsuits against people for no reason, right? So I simply sent. They have a BitChute. They put their videos on BitChute and Rumble and so on, and I sent simply a copyright takedown notices via email. And within a few hours, their BitChute channels were all completely taken down. The Rumble videos were taken down, and even YouTube uh, gave those accounts strikes, and now those accounts are down as well. So it turns out that if people steal your TikTok videos and if they put them on YouTube, Rumble, or BitChute, you can literally send them. You need to write a proper email with all the requirements, and you need to send them your digital signature or a copy of your signature. But if you do that, then copyright is a big thing apparently to American companies. They say there's no censorship, but they will take, basically they will always take down copyright infringements. So if anybody's stealing your TikTok videos, just send a copyright notice to the hosting party and they'll take it down. Right. These sub-Saharan Africans, they have what is called low-faced prognathism or prognathism. It means they have a jaw that sticks out really far, the way you see it in chimpanzees and gorillas. They have that, and this is an archaic feature, almost completely absent in Europeans, and also absent in Asians. Yeah, people keep talking to me about Nick Fuentes. He's gay. Would never want to hang out with him socially. He's a Jew. He's a Mexican. He tried selling his users' data to some billionaire Zionist. This guy is a fucking nutcase. I would never follow this motherfucker, no. Yeah, East Africans tend to be Semitic. So you've got the pale-skinned Semitics of, say, Egypt and the Middle East, and the darker-skinned Semitics of Somalia. But in Somalia, they also, like in Eastern Africa, they also mix with the Bantu peoples nowadays. They're no longer just Semitic, right? I think Nick Fuentes is taking Russian money or something. He's taking money from somewhere, I think from the Russians, to thwart. He's just a sick narcissist, you know. I'm going to talk about the Afrikaners tomorrow with the TikTok friend Daniel Clark. We're going to do a bit of a chit chat. I don't care about Africans. You Africans are so full of hate. I've had enough of it. I don't need to be bothered with your hatred. Just stay away from us. You know what's going on with Russia and Ukraine? The USA and Russia are making a deal about land and resources without including Europe. Europe lost this war, but the US and Russia stand to gain. It's just the way European leaders, by the way, Zelensky is the puppet of the European Union, right? Don't forget that. So when they say Zelensky wants this and this, it means the EU wants this and this. And the way the European Union, because the European Union is ruled by women at the top levels, the problem is these EU women, they think that democracy matters, but the US and Russia know that it doesn't. They can just make a deal between the two of them and cut the Europe out. And what's Europe going to do about it? If you don't have the muscle to force a certain outcome, you're not going to get it, not in a real world. I am a reactionary, increasingly Catholic. You know, for a while, I did not regard religion as part of my identity because who cares, right? But I see now that in the way the world is evolving, it turns out that religion is going to be probably the most important, the most decisive factor in what's going to happen next. Religion in the sense that we need to have that spiritual connection to ourselves, to each other, and to our future. And without it, you simply die out. Reactionary means, you know, I don't just want to go back to the 1950s. I want to go back to the 1500s. I want to beat back 500 years of liberal progress. All the things you can imagine, individualism, right? Privatization and so on, the market state, market economies, all that. Beat it all back and make it go away. Coptic Christians, they are allegedly the real descendants of the ancient Egyptians, the Christian, and they were swamped by the Arabs, really. They're a minority there. It's so funny that you have these Arab peoples claiming they're the ancestors or descendants of the ancient Egyptians, that they built the pyramids, but they didn't. They're colonizers. They got there in the 7th century and they colonized it. I must say it's 2025 and we have all this AI technology, but still trying to do a live stream with a guest on this webcam desktop thing, it's like flying a plane, because you have sometimes when you boot up the program, the certain settings have reset, but it won't tell you that it did that. So you have to basically go through the entire cockpit of settings every time you want to do a live stream to make sure that everything is correct, to make sure the mic is working and the camera is working. There's so many options, and you think that that's what AI should be for. AI should have access to those features and simply poof, 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 like magically configure them for you so that you don't have to hassle with all that crap. But nope, the smartest minds in the world have not figured out yet how to use AI properly. Please let AI configure my audio, microphone, and video settings so that it just works. Poof, it works. Religion is not the cause of problems. Why don't you just go somewhere else? Islam is disgusting. Don't ever ask me that again. Oh, hi. Is that Roisin? Or I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly. That's her, isn't it? She sent a rose. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was just discussing all sorts of things. Yesterday's live stream went really well. I did a live stream with this lady. She's incredibly well spoken. She's got her own channel, so definitely follow her. Someone said she speaks in a measured way, but I think that just sounds super intelligent. Yeah, let's hope to collaborate some more times, because I noticed there are just very few people in the world that I feel are useful to connect with. And it should be something where it could be just 3 or 4 or 5 people, right? And then you bring those together, we could change the world. The idea that we need a million people on our side before we can do anything is just wrong. I think 2 people is a start, 3, 4, 5 people. You have like a secret group, a secret society of just 5 incredible people, and I bet we could figure out some way to manipulate this reality and just do away with the crazy elites. Yeah, you enjoyed the speech yesterday. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, learning new languages is all right. I learned to speak some Swedish when I was quite old already. So jag har lärt mig svenska, men det är inte så möjligt. Det är inte allt för svårt. Whatever. No, I don't speak Finnish. I know it depends, right? Finnish and Hungarian are more difficult than Swedish, but also Chinese, I suppose, is even more difficult than Hungarian again. So yeah, there's levels of difficulty, but certainly if you're an English speaker, go try Swedish. It's the nearest or the closest to English, probably. Yeah. Battle Covadonga. We don't need big numbers. You're right, Todd. Smart time, right? Oh, you want to learn to speak Dutch? Yeah. Dutch is also fairly close to English, of course. It's just the pronunciation can be difficult. And in our country, we have so many dialects, so you better pick one. I'd say pick the Amsterdam dialect. Most people can understand that. But you also have, there's places in the Netherlands, small country, where I would walk into a store and I would not understand a word of what they're saying. All right. The dialect can be so thick, especially rural dialects are so thick, you have no idea what they're saying. Dutch isn't that hard, but it depends on it's your listening ear. Is there any hope for us to recover from the state of the modern world as a Western home? Well, are we really looking to recover from this when you can just walk out? I suppose a lot of us haven't been really damaged yet, so. All right, someone asked me to address the Matrix attack coming from Musk, Owens, Kirk, Carlson against Nick Fuentes. But Nick Fuentes is also an insider. I don't trust that guy at all. I think Nicholas Fuentes is taking Russian money or so. That's why the Matrix attacks him. I mean, do you know that Nicholas Fuentes is gay, right? And he has a dark-skinned Indian boyfriend. All right, you don't want to associate with a guy like that, man. El español no es muy difícil aprender el español. Exactly. Nicholas Fuentes is another psyop. He's either part of the CIA thing or he's part of some other foreign outfit. But I think it might as well be that he is a controlled opposition opposing Tucker Carlson and so on. Right? No, that's what they say, but it isn't so. I suppose the best way to deal with people who are just unwilling to hear or listen is just to block them, because what am I supposed to do? I can't really convince them anyway. Oh, hi Amber, Astro Morgan. He goes on catboy dates too. The Groypers always attack the right-wing white women. Yeah, they have a problem with women in that circle. Yeah, absolutely. Irish people only have around 8% Celtic genetics, really. Then what are they? I thought they were just Celtic, I have more than 8% Celtic genetics. I think I'm 50-50 almost, like slightly more Germanic and then a bunch of Celtic, if you go back far enough from the pre-Roman age. Dutch, yeah, I suppose so. You're north of the Rhine, and you're mostly Germanic, yeah. Yeah. I always thought the Irish were their own little group, and they weren't that mixed at all. All right, you're Irish and Scottish. I love Ireland for its music. They have great songs like Should Old Acquaintance Be Forgot and Never Brought to Life. Da-da-da-da. I think that's a bit far-fetched to say that the Celts were from Switzerland or something. I think they were from all over the place, from Ireland to even to Turkey used to be Celtic, right? The Groypers think all right-wing women are untrustworthy. Well, I don't think so. There's some of them who are absolutely good. All right. The Basque in Spain is a relic, yeah. Old people. Old Lang Syne. I am absolutely Germanic, yeah, but I suppose my DNA test said it's mostly Germanic, Western Germany, North Rhine-Westphalia, the Netherlands and Flanders, some Danish, Swedish, Norwegian, like Viking ancestry. But if you go back far enough, like 2,000 years ago, they say I've also got some Dobunni tribe, the Celtic Dobunni from the Bath region or so. I gotta whip up the lyrics to Old Lang Syne for a moment. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of Old Lang Syne For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. It's one of my favorite songs. You should listen to their. You have like vocal choral versions of it. It's just really great stuff. All right, I see a lot of messages about the DNA and genetics here. I do think it's important, but it's not about purity, it's about quality, right? Yeah, the song is really great. I used to listen to some of these choral versions of it. I don't know the Gaelic. Let's see. I did 23andMe and so on, but I gave it a false name. I called myself like Muhammad Ahmed. So people who see me show up as a relative of them may be surprised that they got an Ahmed in their family. But no, I didn't give my real name or so to these companies. So I tried to, and also Ancestry.org. They give kind of similar results. I am basically 100% Northwest European, mostly Germanic, and probably some Celtic influence here and there. Right? All right, people think you're Dutch Scandinavian, really, because of the town of your ancestors used to be pillaged. Oh, okay, that's really funny. What I dislike about that Groyper movement is that they are so against women. Same with Andrew Tate. He said like I agree. He said a lot of things I agree with, but then he's also like, what do you want out of women? Do you want them to fail, to be losers and slaves or something, or do you actually want your women to be Valkyries so that you can be a god? Right? That's how I see it. Like, how about that's the difference between real supremacy, I suppose, and everything else. A superior people recognizes that if the women are Valkyries, then the men can be gods, right? So that's the goal, rather than putting a woman in a cage or something and whipping her like the Muslims do. And then no wonder their people are shit. All right. The helper of men. Yeah, right, right. There should be a mutual benefit though, summary, right? The men have to toil the fields, do the labor. In European fairy tales, there's very few universal lessons, and one universal lesson from say Rapunzel and so on is do not harm the helpful animal. If you harm the helpful animal, very bad things will happen to you. I don't know how many languages I speak. Language I speak well, I would say three: Dutch, German, and English. But then, of course, I can also speak a little bit of Spanish and Swedish and French. I can probably understand if I've written Portuguese, written Danish, written Afrikaans, and written Norwegian to some degree. I'm not a genius or something. I used to spend a lot of time learning languages. I took a great interest in I wanted to be like a polyglot, to be able to speak at least a dozen languages fluently. Now I've never reached that level yet, but I can definitely handle languages. I love the language learning. The best way to learn languages is you pick something, some kind of course, but then you got to do something more on the side. So you can choose Duolingo, but then start reading children's books. It starts with the reading, just the reading, meaning you don't even know what the words mean or how you pronounce them, but you start reading them. And as you continue with your Duolingo, you start upgrading your books. You start reading books for 12-year-olds. And at some point you read books, you can read the newspaper and so on. Reading, you got to just absorb a lot of the language. And also start listening to their pop songs and then read along with the lyrics. That also works really well. and you've got to speak it out loud. That's the number one rule. If you want to learn a new language on Duolingo, speak the foreign language out loud. All these examples, speak it out loud, because your brain will teach you the language simply because you're speaking it. No Hebrew, no. I did start Hebrew on Duolingo because I wanted to be like, wanted to be able to listen in. But it's too difficult. No, I can't do that. Double agent, yes. No, but that's beyond my capability. I'm not going to learn to speak Hebrew. But they have another language called what's it called? It resembles German very well. Oh, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, there's some kind of a, what is it? Can't always remember it. Jewish German. What's it called? Gotta Google this. Language. Yiddish. So there's this Jewish version of the German language called Yiddish, and I can kind of understand that. So yeah, Yiddish. It's very peculiar because they always said that the Jews were supposed to be Ashkenazi Germanic, right? Like Hebrew people who learned to speak German and they messed up and they spoke Yiddish. But when you listen to Yiddish, it is so incredibly German, right? It's the other way around. It's almost as if they started out speaking German and then they tried to speak Hebrew and they messed up and they ended up with Yiddish. Anyway, that's a whole theory. On the video, who are the Irish? Tom Rousel talks about Irish are only 8% Celtic. Okay? The Picts then. Very interesting. North Italians are Germanic people, really. Because we sacked Rome and our people ended up there. Northern Italy is Germanic. It was part of the Holy Roman Empire. Right. All right, but I can be easily distracted trying to respond to everything, but I think it's important also to see the grand vision. And going forward, I think two things need to happen. We need to have a new European elite, and this is already kind of forming itself. Like we were I was speaking to this to the lady yesterday about this. There needs to be a new European elite, and that's the second part, begins with having like secret meetings or secret conversations or so, where we think really deeply about how to manipulate the media first and foremost. Can we stage something really small that will have a gigantic explosive impact on the media cycles? Then you start changing things slowly, step by step. But by doing it that way, you might simply succeed if no one else understands what you're doing, right? So I think expecting voting and politics to matter at this point is that's a lie. That's just not what's going to happen, right? I think that's how the communists did it in Soviet Russia. They did things behind the scenes, and when they were ready to seize power publicly, that's when they did it. But they were working behind the scenes the whole time, and that's what we're going to have to do too. It's just how it is. All right, I'm going to log off. And all right, well, here's one more question. You would assume Holland is in a similar predicament as Britain, yeah. Geert Wilders, yeah, he's a bit of a Zionist, and I don't think he's actually concerned with our survival, but he'll take our votes. Yeah. Yes, he is our Farage. It's well said, yeah. He's a containment politician, I suppose. he's a bit mixed race too. Like his mom is or his dad was from Indonesia and so on. Look, that's not necessarily the issue if he would actually stand up for our people, but of course he doesn't, right? Form our own alliances. It starts with the alliances, so that's why I think the live streams I'm trying to do. I'm going to try to do it like twice or three times a week where I bring people on, guests on. I try to speak to a lot of people. It's basically I'm sifting through people to figure out who can I work with, right? To build these early alliances. And then which even without money, because money could be a gigantic issue. We don't have billions. We will never have them because by the time we win, the whole economy will have collapsed anyway. So money is not the issue. You got to think of this in terms of how do we achieve our goals with a little bit of money, but a lot of genius ideas, right? No, I'm not going to join the Freemasons. All right, but I am going to log off now, and I enjoyed it very much. And I'll speak to you all soon again. So that's just closing remarks. I'm going to do what I can do with the talks and the live streams to sift through people to see who we can work with, who can we trust, right? And then build our own new European elite. God bless. Take care. Thank you very much.